So let's start this broadcast with the big story that pretty much everyone in the subcontinent is, of course, looking on. This, of course, is the big India-Pakistan game that is presently underway in Kandy. Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya's counter-attack has taken India to a respectable total. Now, the Pakistani pacers shared all 10 wickets as India were bundled out for 266 after opting to bat first. Now, Rohit Sharma's call to bat first under overcast conditions caught many by surprise. After a rain delay of nearly half an hour, the Indian captain was beaten all ends up by Shaheen Shah Afridi. Afridi struck a few overs later as Virat Kohli chopped the ball onto his stumps and then departed for 4. The comeback man Shreyas Iyer played the perfect pull shot a few overs later, but then hit it straight into the hands of Fakhar Zaman. And when Shubman Gill's painful stay at the crease ended after 32 balls, India were reeling at about 66 for 4. Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya counter-attacked as the sun came out, and the two rebuilt the innings. They started to up the ante between the 30th and the 40th overs, and India looked on course for 300 at a particular stage. A cramping Kishan then fell for 82 to Harris Rauf, and then Afridi struck twice in the 44th over to send back Pandya for 87. And then Ravindra Jadeja and India were bundled out with 7 balls remaining, with Afridi taking 4 wickets and Rauf and Naseem Shah taking 3 wickets each.
Better in the night.
All right, now to give us more updates in terms of what, of course, is expected to happen this evening, we're being joined in by our sports editor, Digvijay Singh. He's joining me live from the newsroom. We're also being joined by Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik. He is getting us the updates as to what the mood is like within Pakistan. And our reporter from Sri Lanka, Dasani Athada, is also joining us on this broadcast. Dasani, let me in fact start with you first, because this is a big moment, but the rain gods are up here to be playing a bit of a spoil sport there. Tell us what the situation at this moment is like in Kandy.
Absolutely, Mohammed Saleh, just like how you put it, rain is in fact being a spoil sport as of right now. When you look at this entire day of play, we have lost nearly 1.5 hours of play purely due to a drizzle, rain, and now because of a wet outfield. The latest as of now is that the umpires and the relevant officials will be walking back to the ground for a second inspection, because there is concerns whether the outfield is a little too wet for play as of right now. But in terms of the drizzle has stopped, so that is some form of a positive news coming our way.
Absolutely, indeed. Dasani, do continue to stay on with us. Digvijay, let me bring you in on this, on the analysis of what has happened so far. The update is that the umpires are in fact doing their inspection. At the moment, a roller is also being used on the pitch. Now, this is a very interesting moment at this point of time. India have scored 266, but because of the rain delays, it's now being speculated that the Duckworth-Lewis method could come into play here.
Yes, still waiting to hear what the final calculations are. Just before I came here for this broadcast, was just seeing the Indian players coming onto the ground, and as things stand, we still don't know if there is going to be any deduction. If 266 remains the target, 267 remains the target, Saleh, and you get a full quota of 50 overs, you're looking at a finish around 12:31 India time, and that's going to be pretty late. So we're going to wait and see how that unfolds. But a solid comeback from India.
Right.
At one stage, 66 for 4, you were thinking, oh, this could be an early finish. But as you mentioned, Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya giving India a fighting score. This is not a score which fans would have expected at the start of the match. But at 66 for 4, if you would ask me, would you take 266, I would have taken it. But
right.
The recovery job that they did, at one stage, India 221 for 5 in 40 overs. You were still thinking that about 300 was possible. That could have put pressure on Pakistan. It's still a challenging score, but it's a score Pakistan can sort of overhaul as well. It's that old 1990s, 2000s kind of score, isn't it? 270 odd. It promises it can get interesting if India actually get a few quick wickets at the top of the order.
Absolutely, indeed. It can get very interesting, and the way that things are panning out, especially because of the drizzly overcast conditions, it can of course be very challenging to bat. But But Digvijay, I want to ask you this. You know, when India won the toss, Rohit Sharma opting to bat first to set up a total after it had rained for half an hour. How sensible do you think that decision was?
I'm not particularly convinced it was the right call, but both the Indian team and the Pakistan team did say at the toss that we both wanted to bat first. Okay, we can't speculate being here what was the reason behind that, but perhaps when India was struggling at one stage, 66 for 4, then the sun came out. And then Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya sort of counter-attacked. They got the runs on the board. And, you would think that in overcast conditions with the bowling lineup you have, India would perhaps have opted to bowl first. But clearly, there's something there which you and I don't know. We can only speculate. But the Pakistan bowlers, we have to talk about them. Shaheen Shah Afridi, 4 for 35. Haris Rauf, a bit expensive, taking 4 wickets. 3 wickets, also 3 wickets for the other fast bowler, Naseem Shah. So all 10 wickets shared by the Pakistani quicks. India have 4 fast bowlers. Technically, if you look at it, Mohammad Siraj and Jasprit Bumrah, who's coming back, both can swing the ball. They can put the Pakistani top order under pressure. Hardik Pandya hits the deck hard. You have Shardul Thakur as well. And then you have Jadeja, who's always been a sort of containing bowler. And you have Kuldeep Yadav, who is the Chinaman, who has a tendency to be expensive, but he's also a wicket taker. Pakistan, the top 3, top 4 are crucial. If India get early wickets over there, then they can make a game of it.
Absolutely, indeed. Do continue to stay on with us, Digvijay. Let me, in fact, bring in my colleague from Pakistan, Anas Malik, who's joining us live on this broadcast. Anas, for the cricket aficionados, there's nothing like an India-Pakistan contest. You know, give us a sense of what the mood is like within the country. 266 is the target. The conditions are overcast. It is drizzling. But Pakistan would be pretty happy with the way they started off with the match.
Certainly so, Saleh. You rightly mentioned the way the Pakistani bowlers got those breakthrough and those early wickets, which Digvijay was also referring to. That was a phenomenal start, and that really did get the excitement level pretty high here. Where I'm standing in Islamabad, I'm standing at one of the very prominent locations. It's a cafe called Chai Mahfil. And it's a rooftop which is currently packed, despite of the fact that there's a slight drizzle around over here as well in Islamabad. It was a hot day, pretty hot day, hot and humid day here. But fans are generally geared up. They're excited. They're looking forward to a nail-biter of a finish with, of course, Pakistani fans expecting a Pakistan victory. But broadly speaking, just to add to what Digvijay was saying, I think here, at least in this part of the border, people were quite in applaud for the fact that how Hardik Pandya and Ishan Kishan took that stand, took the responsibility on their shoulders and really steered away India from that batting line collapse to a very much more decent total. And the fans here are really looking forward to an exciting game with the hope that there will be no disruptions. Saleh?
Absolutely, indeed. We all hope that there is no disruption. The players can, in fact, get back onto the field and start the game. But the latest that is coming in is that the 2 captains, we're given to understand, are having a chat. Because the Indian players are, of course, stretching on the field. But Anas, 267 is the target. What's the mood like there? Do the Pakistani fans expect the Pakistani batting lineup in the overcast conditions to actually be able to reach the target?
They believe that Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan and at least the opening order, the top order will perform. It's high time for them to perform precisely for Imam ul Haq and Fakhar Zaman, because the two have really been struggling when it comes to maintaining their form and proving their place to be in the team. But this is one combination that has been going on. Pakistan has had lesser ODIs broadly, but what Babar Azam and the team management have done is that they've managed to make sure that they've got this winning combination irrespective of the team that they're playing with, irrespective if it is a strong opponent or a considerably lesser strong opponent, and that is what they have been. So they have a very solid team combination. There has been talks and doubts raised on Salman Ali Agha's inclusion, and the mood generally has been within ex-cricketers is that instead of Salman Ali Agha, if Saud Shakil could have been replaced, because Saud Shakil plays spin better, but nevertheless the Babar Azam is the captain. Team management is are in a better position to take the call on who gets to play on who and who doesn't. So if they've made this decision to have Salman Agha in the playing 11, it's definitely well thought on their part. So at least the fans here in Pakistan and in this part of Islamabad where I'm standing, they look forward for the top order for performing, and then the game not going towards the middle order to take responsibility. In the last game we saw that Iftikhar Ahmed ended up taking that responsibility in the middle order along with supporting the captain Babar Azam, but they really hope and believe that this time the openers would be giving a solid knock and a solid start to the Pakistan team, so that the middle half or the middle order doesn't really have to do much.
Absolutely, indeed, Anas. Do continue to stay on with this. But Digvijay, let me in fact bring you in on this. It's such an important contest. India and Pakistan play so rarely, but when they do, the rain gods have decided to interfere. Tell us what the latest update is, because going into this chase, Pakistan would feel fairly confident. They are the #1 ranked one-day international team at the moment. Babar Azam is also the top ranked batsman. And Pakistan has got top 3 players in the top 5 batsman category. But the rain gods are not letting them get onto the field now.
Yes, in fact, the last 4 or 5 minutes, since we last had this interaction, we were hoping that play would resume, that players were seen stretching. As you mentioned, they were coming onto the field. But I just turned around and looked at the television screen and the covers are back on. It's raining again. Now what happens is, the call has to be taken at what point you start losing overs. And when you start losing overs, what will the sort of target be? Duckworth Lewis comes into play. Obviously, Pakistan have not batted, so they will have 10 wickets in hand. So all of that, and Duckworth Lewis is something which is quite difficult to sort of fathom how those numbers come out. But I think at this moment, we just got to hope that we get a game, because it's a Super Saturday clash. It's India versus Pakistan. You don't want this to end up a damp squib.
Absolutely, indeed. No one wants this to end up into a damp squib. Thank you very much indeed, Digvijay Singh, Dio, to Anas Malik, and also to my colleague, Dasani Athara, for joining us from Kandy and getting us all those updates. This is a contest that everyone wants to in fact happen, but we need to wait and watch whether the rain gods would be kind enough for us to witness India play Pakistan.